Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading, and you are tuned into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we take an in-depth look at some of the different things that are helping or shaping, I should say, our economy, our financial markets. And today, in particular, we're going to talk about gold. Gold is shooting through the roof, and we've been talking about it off and on since we started this podcast. Well, I've been in the business for over 32 years now. I've been talking about it for even longer than that. But to discuss this topic today, we're going to bring on my co-host Chris Agelastos. Chris, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Doing very well, thank you.
Well, thanks for taking time, and I know you're incredibly busy because the markets are incredibly hoppy right now. And what an exciting time! I mean, I was looking back when we first started doing our podcast here, and we were suggesting that people diversify, get into gold, put themselves in a position where they've got some tangibles versus the all the other traditional type things that they might have already have been holding on to. I believe gold prices were roughly like 16 or 1700 an ounce when we started, somewhere in that ballpark, if I'm not mistaken. And now look at it, we're over $3,100 an ounce.
Yeah.
And as we talked about at the beginning of the year, which seems like it was just yesterday, the we talked about how many of the projections that were coming out about gold were saying it will hit $3,000 an ounce in 2025. The high end of it was for by the end of year 2025 for some was $3,100 an ounce, and here we sit in finishing up the basically excuse me, the first quarter of the year through March,
hmm
and lo and behold, we're looking at gold price is already on its way to that probably that 3,500 mark now, what many people are suggesting. So what a crazy time. And we'll take a look at
Yeah.
here at this first article. you know Gold prices, excuse me, rise above 3,100 for the first time as U.S. levies boost havens. So tell us what that means. What does this title mean, that the U.S. levies boost havens?
Yeah. So all of the a lot of this is the tariff talk. Us levying tariffs on other nations. People concerned about a trade war and all of the negative implications there. And so when people are concerned and they're looking to protect their money, they're not necessarily feeling quite as optimistic, and they want a little bit of safety and security, something more stable. They tend to shift some of their assets to tangibles like gold and silver. Especially gold. I mean, gold has long been known as a safe haven asset, and so that's really what we're seeing here is a lot of inflows. Um, Not only from central banks, but also individual investors that are moving some of their portfolios, whether it be their retirement plans at work or some of their regular cash savings into physical metal, so that they know they have something that tends to be very stable and something they can count on in a world filled with uncertainty. So those are some of the things they're talking about pushing this, and Goldman in here is predicting 3,300 an ounce or so, which I always laugh because they always do these safe predictions. Instead of saying 3,500 or 4,000, which is very feasible in the near future, they bump up their estimate by a couple $100. I think so that if things don't move exactly the way they anticipate, they won't look like they were wrong. But 3,300 is a very safe estimate. In fact, during this week we've actually touched on 3,160 and change just throughout this week, when we just passed 3,100 last week.
Well, that's a thing. Especially as the price of gold as a whole goes higher, the percentage move in terms of dollars becomes greater. And what I mean by that, if,
Yeah.
for instance, if gold were at $1,000 an ounce, if it were to go up by 10%, that go to 1,100. So it'd be $100
Right.
move. At $3,000 an ounce gold, if it makes that same 10% move, that's a $300 move. And so there should be probably some almost a reasonable expectation that a realistic expectation that these dollar moves will become greater, because the
hmm
percentages are really what matters, and as it relates to markets, the percentage move and what's causing that move.
Yeah.
It's so as we talk about this, I have here. and I'll let you talk about this. Is a $20 gold piece, an 1898 $20 gold piece. And as I talked about a moment ago, when we began our podcast, give or take, this coin would have been worth, let's just call it for discussion, $1,800.
Hmm.
And because it's an older coin, not per se rare, it's a circulated coin, but because it's a little older, it's probably worth somewhere closer to 32, 3,300, somewhere in that range today. And here's my point is that what you just hit on is like this is the gold market, the physical market is something that it's a place where people can go for safety. You can put your hand on it, it's there for you if you need it. But an added benefit to it has been it's been one of the best performing asset classes out there without having to do a thing, carrying this around in my pocket over the course of the last year, year and a half or so, it's almost nearly doubled in value.
Yeah.
And that's the added benefit to this play in the marketplace. We're not talking about people, selling everything they have and putting it into gold. We're talking about being diversified for two reasons. One, heaven forbid we have some kind of disruption in our financial system or our markets. You have something tangible that is a non-debt encumbered asset that you can fall back on. And the second thing being that you have something that can be a wealth protector by way of protecting against inflation and things of that nature, which has been very widely discussed in today's current economic and financial climate. And so that's the thing, Chris. Like this, just carrying this around in my pocket, I have it there for me. And $3,000 worth of wealth is something that is may represent a house payment for some people. It may represent
Hmm.
a month worth of living expenses, and the value in that, and again, not just the appreciation part of it, but the stability part is, in my opinion, it's unparalleled. I mean, this you couldn't find a better position or play that you could take again in today's financial climate. And it's really diversification is not a just a today thing, it's an everyday thing. You should always have a good balance. So I know CC is pulled up on the screen on the website, silver and gold bullion, it's silver and gold bullion and rare investment coins. If you could, just for those two, who are either listening or watching us here today, tell us a little bit about what the differences of these different areas of the markets are. What does this all mean?
Yeah. So gold and silver in general is pretty simple, but there are a few different ways to get involved in it. A lot of people have probably when they hear gold or silver, they think of large gold bars or silver bars and that sort of thing, which we certainly have, and that does make sense for some people. But also coins or pirates' treasure, right? When I was a kid, I'd always see pirates going after a treasure chest full of gold coins. And so it exists in different forms. Now, here at Swiss America, we deal with most all really the physical forms of investment grade gold and silver. So, not jewelry and things like that, but whether it's bars or bullion coins or just older collectible U.S. coins and even super rare coins. I mean, I've been amazed. Getting into this industry 15 years ago, I didn't know much about the collectible side of the market. And it's amazing to me how you can have some of these collectible coins that go well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, for an
Right.
individual coin. Now, obviously, that's not going to make sense for the average investor, but that's why we like to carry a wide mix of products. And really, what we do here is help people figure out, first of all, does gold or silver make sense in your current situation? I think it does for most people these days, but not necessarily everybody. So we focus on that first, and then help you come up with what mix of products would be appropriate. For most people, it's maybe items from a couple of these different categories to sort of be diversified, as you mentioned. But at the end of the day, it's all physical gold or physical silver that you can hold in your hands, and it gives you
Right.
that peace of mind. And the other thing I was thinking as I see you holding up that coin is think about a stack of $3,000 in cash. How much bigger that pile would be than that one coin? And somebody with just a stack of coins in their safe can throw that in a pocket or a knapsack, and anywhere you need to head in the world, you've got a good amount of physical metal that you can convert into any currency virtually anywhere in the world.
Right. Well, that's an excellent point. If you took this $20 gold piece and back way back when they were sold in rolls of 20 coins, you're talking about in terms of the size of that stack, it would be a little wider in terms of the circumference of the coin, but it basically would look like a stack of quarters. And it's
Yeah,
today's market, a stack of quarters, which is something very easily can fit in anybody's pocket, anybody's, backpack, briefcase, purse, whatever it is. You have basically $60,000 worth of wealth that you could move if you needed to, or get out of Dodge if you
yeah,
needed to, but it's not, and certainly that's not something that's difficult to store, or keep safe or anything of that nature either.
right.
So, it really, is something that I think as people don't have a familiarity with the market, it seems overwhelming, and that's why I encourage those who are tuning in. If you want to learn more about the market, contact Swiss America. You can text or call at 1-800-289-2646 and get free information, get your questions answered, or you can visit online at www.swissamerica.com, which is our company's name, all one word, SWISS America.com. Now, this next thing I want to talk about, because this is, I know, a very, very popular area of people's interest in terms of, and also in terms of business that you've been doing, Chris, where people have retirement accounts, maybe an IRA, a Roth, a traditional, maybe
Hmm.
a 401k or pension that they had from a company that they're with or were with in the past. And many people aren't aware that you can actually buy physical gold with those funds as well. So explain this
Yeah.
process a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, so actually, the government's done us a favor. They've made it relatively easy. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of an IRA transfer or a rollover, where essentially you can move your retirement money around for different stages in your life, and depending on what your concerns are. Well, one of those areas that's become popular, obviously, with everything going on in the world, is the self-directed IRA, and we essentially help people. It's a simple application. In fact, we do most of the work completing it for the clients, but we essentially just help you open up a self-directed IRA where you can transfer or roll over assets from a 401k or a 403b or a deferred comp plan, traditional IRA, Roth IRA. These are all common terms that I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners have heard of. But you can move those funds without any tax consequences and use that money to actually invest in physical gold and silver. Again, where we help you. You're not in this alone, where you have to log into the computer and try to figure out, what should I buy, what's right for me. But we help people pick out the appropriate items, and that way they can protect a portion of their nest egg, which is where most people put their money these days, is in their retirement plans as they're working, and keep that in a tax deferred status, but still protect it with something physical that they know that they own. And it just gives them peace of mind. That's most of the people that I talk to are really just looking for peace of mind. They don't want to stress out about a major market crash. Everybody's been talking about the next big stock market, reset. We really haven't seen an enormous drop since around 2010 or so. And so statistically, we're long overdue. People have made some good money in the market in a lot of cases, and they don't want to give all of that back as they get closer to retirement. So they're looking for a safe way to shelter some of their money in something tangible with more stability, and that's what we help them do. But it's very simple process. I do that myself for my retirement plan. I sock away money whenever I can in there, and use it to buy physical metal. And I don't want to say I forget about it. I check the statements and log into our account and everything, but I'm setting that aside for use down the road, and just letting it grow with these large market increases.
That's fantastic. And appreciate you sharing that. And it is, I can't stress that enough. The As overwhelming as it may seem, it's actually a pretty simple, streamlined process, and something that I can't. The number of people we have through our customer satisfaction surveys or just conversations that we've had over the years of people that, as they get involved in the market, albeit with non retirement funds, or retirement funds, they overwhelmingly make that statement of like, I can't believe how easy this was. I'm so glad I did it. I'm
Yeah.
so glad I took the time to make the call. And for those tuning in, I would encourage you to do that, as I mentioned a moment ago. Call or text at 1-800-289-2646 or visit us online at www.swissamerica.com. Thank you for all that, Chris. And for those of you tuning in,
Yeah.
thanks for being here. If you're not subscribed to this podcast, we would love for you to do so as we can keep in contact with you and share more information like this with you in the future. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.